I think it's about high time we've made a video about this specific topic. Let's go over to the 2022 NHL Entry Draft and discuss first overall pick Juraj Slafkovsky once again, giving an update on his play as of late, and the recent, I'm not going to say controversy, it's not really a controversy, it's more just a conversation going around this player and what the Canadiens should do with him for the next few weeks. Now, Juraj Slafkovsky, as you know, is an 18-year-old guy playing in the NHL. He's got, at the time of recording this audio, 9 points in 22 games played, on pace for 28 total points on the season in 76 total games, and he's actually got 3 points in his most recent 5 games played. This was highlighted by a very nice assist he pulled off yesterday against the Calgary Flames, where he threw the puck out in front for Josh Anderson. It's really nice just seeing the offensive prowess and the chemistry being developed with Slafkovsky and Anderson, of course, with the departure of guys like Brendan Gallagher, etc. from the lineup. But when it comes to Juraj Slafkovsky, the biggest conversation that's been going around him the past few days is whether or not the Canadiens should have sent him to the World Juniors. Now, the tournament's training camps are just getting underway here. The rosters were announced for some of the teams, and it's apparent that from the perspective of the Canadiens, from Martin St. Louis, and the way the Habs are kind of viewing this overall situation, they felt it was more valuable to keep Juraj Slafkovsky on their squad rather than loan him out to Team Slovakia. Now, I can't actually find any specific quote or whatever where it says for sure, no, he is staying, but at the time of recording this audio, he's not been sent over. Now, I'm not too sure if by the time this video gets uploaded, there could be some sort of an announcement saying, oh no, they just decided to loan him out, he'll go to the Worlds and he'll participate with that Slovakia team. I don't know if that's possible, but whether or not that happens or not, I still think there is a conversation to be had as to whether or not keeping him on the Canadiens is the right move, or if they should send him over instead. Now, the thing with Slafkovsky is that he actually still has been a pretty good player. Like, I know he's not Connor McDavid, point-per-game guy. I know he's not Austin Matthews or Patrick Laine, a 30-goal guy right off the bat in their first NHL seasons. But as I've said this entire time, these players in the mid-2010s kind of tainted our expectations for first overall picks. Jack Hughes took a while to become good, and now he's really freaking good. Lafreniere still isn't really freaking good yet. So, for Juraj Slafkovsky, the fact that he's in the NHL, and he's actually doing pretty alright, that in and of itself is a pretty good win. Especially when you combine this with the fact that he's now playing in a legit top 6 role, and he's actually getting more minutes than he had been prior. He's actually making the best out of this opportunity, and he's using it to develop his skills and to grow his game. He's making better reads, he's making better passes. Every few games, Canadiens fans are out there on social media saying, hey, this might have been Slafkovsky's best game in a Canadiens uniform. And from the perspective of the Montreal Canadiens, I could totally understand if they're going out there and saying, hey, he's improving, he's actually getting into better habits, he's hopefully keeping his head up a little bit more. Why would we go out there and take away the next month's worth of NHL development to send him over to Team Slovakia, where he'll be playing against inferior competition, where he might go out there and start developing bad habits again, and where he's probably going to come back to us as a quote-unquote more unpolished player than when he left for Team Slovakia in the first place. I'd seen that argument pop up many times saying that, hey, Slafkovsky will dominate the World Juniors if he goes over there. Like, I don't think that's too much of a surprise to hear. So what is there to gain for this guy to go over to a tournament where he's better than everybody, just light up the competition, be the best player out there, and potentially come back to the NHL with a little bit of carelessness? Because playing against 20-year-olds, you're not playing off against players who are as good as National Hockey League competition, meaning that you might start to get into a little bit of a groove when you come back. But then, of course, there is the opposing argument. Hey, Juraj Slafkovsky is 18 years old. He is in the prime range of this tournament, and assuming he sticks around in the NHL for the long term, this season, next season, the year after that, this might be his one and only opportunity to actually go to the World Juniors and represent Team Slovakia. He played on the World Championship team last year, the Olympic Games team last year, but he wasn't a part of the World Juniors. In fact, he played for the World Junior team back in 2020-2021 when he was only 16 years old. Now, he had 5 games played and 0 points in that time span, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, okay, he has not been given that chance to dominate the World Juniors like he would if he was sent over this year. Why not give him that opportunity to suit up for his home country and dominate these kids? You could definitely say, hey, the Canadiens wouldn't want to stunt his development, but then again, it's probably only going to be like 1 month's worth of development that you're going to stunt out there. And besides, if Slafkovsky goes to the World Juniors and he is as good as we think he can be, who's to say that the confidence that he could gain might be a bad thing? Who's to say that he's not going to take all of that scoring prowess and say, hey, I could try to do this at the NHL level? You could talk about bad habits being developed. You could talk about him going back into a, let's say, inferior style of play where he has his head down and he's not playing all too well on the boards, etc., etc. You could say that that's possible, but you could also say the opposite could be there too. But I think another one of the big things that we haven't talked about at all in this commentary yet is the idea of health. Because I want to talk to you also about another Montreal Canadiens player. In fact, he's the guy that won the shootout yesterday against Calgary and Jacob Markstrom. Let's talk about former Chicago Blackhawk Kirby Dach. Because once upon a time, when Dach was a young NHL player, I mean, he still is today, but I mean, he was younger before. When Dach was in the Chicago Blackhawks system at the start of the 2020-2021 year, he did not actually play the whole season. He only had 18 games played, and he had 10 points, which was actually pretty good. The reason he was sidelined for so much of that year is because in January of 2021, he got sent over to Team Canada, and he ended up being the captain for that team. Unfortunately, he had 0 games played at the tournament because in the very first game, the pre-tournament game even, not the regular games they played, Dach suffered an injury that cost him the majority of that hockey playing year, period. And obviously, thinking about the disaster scenario that was Kirby Dach, a legit NHL talent getting lent over to the World Juniors only to be sidelined for the majority of the NHL season, that's kind of a disaster in disguise when you say, hey, they had the chance to prevent this. They had the chance to say, no, we're going to keep you in the NHL. You're going to practice with our team. You're going to play with us to start out the year, and you'll be fine. Instead, he went over to a tournament, he got hurt, and his play on the ice in the regular season suffered because of it. For Uri, it's definitely a point of contention to think about when you say, hey, this guy is an NHL caliber guy. He is a Montreal Canadien, and there is no real possibility, I feel, in the foreseeable future that he gets sent down to the AHL. He's playing a lot better every game, and if you see this progression going at the rate that it's going, it would be valid to try to ride that train and see how good he could get. But of course, there is still that other part that says, why not go out there and let him dominate the other kids? Because the confidence boost might be a pretty good benefit as well. I don't know, though. End of the day, Juraj Slafkovsky has indeed been playing better, and he's been showing more and more as the weeks have gone on. I guess for the Montreal Canadiens, they really just want to have pure control over what he focuses on in practice, how he develops, etc., because if you're going to the World Juniors, you're going, like, now, and you probably won't be back until the tournament is over, about a month-ish from this day. So if the Canadiens really want to capitalize on all the stuff that Slafkovsky is working with in his rookie season, in his 18-year-old National Hockey League year, then okay, I can understand that. It's just, obviously it would be nice for Canadiens fans to turn on the World Juniors and see Juraj Slafkovsky scoring goals upon goals upon goals. I mean, the guy dominated the Olympic Games for Team Slovakia. What more, playing against younger kids in his age range? He's still a big dude. He's a pretty heavy dude too, so I would not be surprised if he goes out there and absolutely physically towers over the competition. But tell me in the comments either way all your thoughts about the idea of sending Slafkovsky to the World Juniors, as well as the idea of the Canadiens keeping him around. Again, at the time of recording this audio, he has not been loaned over. I don't think that's going to happen, but if it does, then I guess this video is all for naught. Actually, no. I think there's still some value to be had with this conversation if you end up seeing Slafkovsky get sent over sometime tomorrow. But either way, tell me in the comments all your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.